The world of relationships can often look perfect from the outside, but behind closed doors, some truths unfold that are shocking, heartbreaking, and unforgettable. Tonight, we're diving into a series of true-to-life stories where husbands discovered the ultimate betrayal and wives were caught red-handed. Each story is a reminder that secrets never stay hidden forever, and honesty will always rise to the surface. It begins in Dallas, Texas, with a man named Michael, who worked long hours as a firefighter. Michael had always trusted his wife, Jessica, a schoolteacher loved by her community. They seemed like the perfect couple: 2 kids, a home in the suburbs, and a circle of friends who admired their marriage. But one evening, while returning early from a late shift, Michael walked through the front door and froze. Jessica wasn't expecting him, and the hurried whispers on the phone gave her away. At first, she claimed it was just a parent from school, but Michael noticed the tone of her voice and the way she rushed to end the call. Suspicion led to a simple check of their family computer, where messages told a different story. She had been meeting another man in secret. When confronted, Jessica broke down. The trust Michael carried like armor shattered in a single night. The hardest part wasn't just the cheating, it was realizing the person he thought would always protect his heart had been the one to break it. From Texas, our story moves to Chicago, Illinois. David and Emily had been married for over a decade, their love story admired by everyone in their neighborhood. But David always noticed Emily had sudden book club meetings that didn't make sense. One snowy January evening, David decided to surprise her with hot cocoa and drive her home from one of these gatherings. When he arrived at the address she'd given him, there was no book club, no group of friends waiting with novels in hand. Instead, David spotted Emily stepping out of another man's apartment, adjusting her scarf and smiling in a way David hadn't seen in years. He stayed silent, letting her approach the car. The car ride home was filled with silence, only the crunch of snow under the tires breaking the stillness. That night, Emily's secret was no longer safe. David didn't explode in anger. He simply asked her why. Sometimes, silence can be more painful than words. Next, we head west to Los Angeles, California, where Stephen, a music producer, had been building a future with his wife, Amanda. Their lifestyle was fast, surrounded by parties and glamorous events. But Stephen wasn't blind. Amanda's sudden late-night work dinners and guarded phone raised red flags. One evening, when Amanda claimed to be meeting with clients, Stephen decided to follow at a distance. The trail led him not to a restaurant or studio, but to a beachfront condo where Amanda was seen laughing and embracing another man. Stephen felt a storm inside, but he didn't storm in. Instead, he recorded what he saw, not for revenge but as proof to himself that he wasn't imagining things. When Amanda returned home that night, Stephen was waiting with a calm face and eyes that carried all the evidence. She was caught red-handed, and though tears and apologies followed, Stephen knew that trust, once broken, rarely heals the same way. Now, in Miami, Florida, comes the story of Marcus and Rachel. Marcus, a hard-working entrepreneur, trusted his wife completely. But one afternoon, a friend sent him a picture from social media, a photo of Rachel at a rooftop lounge when she had told Marcus she was visiting her parents. At first, Marcus dismissed it, thinking maybe the timing was off. But curiosity pushed him to check further. That evening, Marcus drove past the lounge himself, only to find Rachel sitting close to someone else, laughing as if they shared a secret world together. He walked straight in, no hesitation, and Rachel's face turned pale the moment she saw him. In that single glance, the truth came crashing down. Marcus didn't shout or cause a scene. He simply turned and walked away, leaving her to realize that in trying to live 2 lives, she had destroyed the one that mattered most. In New York City, a different kind of story unfolded. Brian, a subway engineer, worked long overnight shifts. His wife, Hannah, often said she hated how lonely she felt, but Brian thought their love was strong enough to handle it. One night, finishing work early, Brian returned home with a bag of Hannah's favorite takeout. He wanted to surprise her. Instead, it was Brian who received the surprise of his life. Hannah wasn't alone. The betrayal was right there in his own living room. The food bag slipped from his hands, spilling across the floor. Hannah's tears began instantly, but Brian had already seen everything he needed to see. The sound of the subway train in the distance that night felt like a cruel echo of his broken heart. Across the country in Seattle, Washington, we find Ethan and Laura. They were high school sweethearts, married young, and thought love alone would carry them through. But as years passed, Ethan noticed Laura became distant. One evening, while working on his laptop, he saw a text message pop up on their shared tablet. It wasn't meant for him, but its meaning was clear. That night, Ethan decided not to confront her with words. Instead, he asked her directly to hand him her phone. The hesitation in her eyes said everything before she even spoke. Laura admitted what she had done, but the damage was irreversible. Ethan realized that sometimes the people we grow up with don't always grow with us, and holding on to the past can blind us to the truth. And then there was the story in Denver, Colorado, of Jacob and Melissa. Jacob always admired Melissa for her honesty, but even the most trusted partners can carry secrets. One afternoon, Jacob's car broke down, and he borrowed Melissa's vehicle to make it to work. Inside, tucked beneath the passenger seat, was a handwritten note from someone Jacob had never heard of. The words were affectionate, far too personal to be from a friend. That note was the crack that revealed the whole truth. Melissa, when confronted, admitted everything. Jacob stood still, realizing that trust isn't broken by the act alone, but by the months of lies that led up to it. Each of these stories, from Dallas to Denver, reveals a truth that can't be ignored. Cheating never stays hidden. Whether it's a suspicious phone call, a strange social media post, or a late-night meeting that doesn't add up, the truth always finds its way out. Wives caught red-handed faced not only the anger of their husbands but the realization that they had destroyed something sacred, trust. But these aren't just stories of betrayal. They are stories of lessons. For some men, the discovery marked the end of a chapter. For others, it became the beginning of self-discovery, healing, and even forgiveness in some rare cases. Life moves forward, and though the wounds take time to heal, each story reminds us of the power of truth. As we close this collection of stories, remember, loyalty is a choice, honesty is a gift, and love should never be taken for granted. The women in these stories were caught red-handed, but the real takeaway is clear. Betrayal doesn't just break hearts, it breaks lives. And once trust is gone, it may never come back the same.